Good morning, good morning, good morning. I am Dr. Helen, your host of where you are right now, the Accelerated Healing Detox Bootcamp. I am also the host of the Faith Building Bootcamp, where we build faith one day at a time. Here we build health one day at a time. So this is our day 19. Day 19. It is on skates. So I don't know, some people are joining us new. I saw some new registrants. So I don't know if you're just joining us. So if this is your day one, or if this is your day two, or if it's your day 19, but wherever you're coming from, if it's day one, welcome. If it's day two, welcome back. And if it is day 19, look at you because you're still here. We are so excited that you are here this morning. Yes. Yes, day 19. Man, we're talking about some excitement. We've been more excited each day because now we are having some foods that we can chew. We are going to continue, and I was chewing this morning too because I had my delicious mango bowl and I had an opportunity. My husband actually went out yesterday and was able to get some more fruit. So then I have raspberries on top, so it has a nice beautiful red flavor, red look to it, and the blueberries are there, and then my homemade granola, and then I have some cashews, raw cashews on the mix on the bed of all this green deliciousness that's full of spinach, and so it's got all these nutrients in it, and then I got the mango in there, and I am like feeling like invigorated. I don't know if it makes you feel that way, but I feel invigorated. I'm so excited to have this delicious bowl because I was just looking forward to eating it from the very beginning when we started juicing. But we are here and we are excited. We're going to be talking about something called gluten and beta cell damage. And you're probably like, well, what are betas? What are we talking about? I am going to make that clear for you. But first, my favorite husband, John Stoddard. It is called Hold Me. 45 seconds.
I don't have to tell you, you know what I've been through. Haven't always done my best to please you. And though I'm so unworthy of all you've given me, still you hold.
Hold me, hold me, hold me. Yes, that's my favorite husband. Yes, and indeed, he is my only one as well. Yes, and so day 19, we are getting in bed. We're practicing our exercises, getting up off the floor. I bet you're much stronger and it's so much easier to get up off the floor now with the practice, right? It's getting easier and easier to do it. You're doing your squats, right? You're doing 5, you want to increase to 10 squats. I know it burns those thighs, man. We're doing 10 squats. It's kind of fun too. It burns, but it's a good burn, and it's strengthening those lower extremities and strengthening those muscles. So we're decreasing our risks of falling. We know that as we get older, the risk of falling gets greater. And that's because we have poor balance and weakness in the lower extremity. So we're trying to make that all better. We're improving it every day. We are chewing. I know y'all are so excited because you're chewing. I saw somebody was just like, I was getting pictures of the foods that people are making, and they're beautiful, and it's so wonderful to see it. So I want you guys to get some of those pictures, take some pictures of your food when you make them, and send them off to me. I'd love to see what they are. You can send them to media@p2whealth.com, or actually, better yet, send it to info@p2whealth.com, info@p2whealth.com, so we can take a look at what you're doing in your kitchen. I can't wait to see what you guys are doing and how you're enjoying these meals. Show me your favorites. Show me like how you put your touch on it, how you beautify it, because beauty is like half the battle. When you make your food beautiful, it makes it like, oh, I really want to eat it. It's so appealing to the eye because we respond with our eyes. So it's so appealing. Make it look good. My sister Anita is absolutely phenomenal at making food look beautiful. She was a part of my sister team for my sous chef when I recorded many of the shows on that creative cooking. She was one of my sous chefs with the other six of my sisters, and she was the one responsible for making it pretty. So when you look at those videos and you see the beautiful food and how it's decorated, that was her. She is so amazing at it. And so make your food look good because you will want to eat it. It makes it more enhanced. It enhances the appearance and the intrigue of the food. So keep chewing, keep making these beautiful things. Check out what we're eating today. We're doing our healing pineapple tangerine green smoothie. We're doing our citrus salad, and we're doing this really good carrot ginger soup. It's really tasty. And it's very interesting that this is still raw, which means that it has the enzymes in there to start breaking down things. Even you just, I like to call it like digesting itself, so that your body can take the time to do what it needs to do, which is fight disease. And that's what we're looking for, is for some fight and going on in our system. And we're aiding it with our food. We're eating some snacks with some peanut butter and almond butter. And I told you before how easy it is to make almond butter. Just put some almonds in somebody made some homemade almond butter. It's so easy. Isn't it just totally easy to do? Just put those almonds in that high-speed blender and let it move and move and move and move. And it is so incredibly easy and delicious. Now, enjoy your meals today. Enjoy your meals today. I am going to just go to my disclaimer. I am a board certified physician. Yes, I am. I am trained in both internal medicine and physical medicine and rehabilitation. I was trained way back then at Johns Hopkins and Sinai Hospital. I was one of the crazy ones who did 2 residencies at the same time in both internal medicine and physical medicine and rehabilitation. And then I did my fellowship training in non-surgical orthopedics and sports medicine. I did additional training in interventional pain, and then self-training in a lifestyle medicine, because I've realized how important lifestyle is to our health and how important the food is. And so I've done some research over the last 15 or so years, and I've taken all of that information plus my 28 years of experience as a doctor, and probably even more in lifestyle medicine since we used to own a health food store when we were kids. But all of that time, I'll put all of that information together to give you what I think is vital information for your health. So even though I'm giving you this information, and even though I am a board certified physician, I am not your physician. I am only your physician if you come into my virtual space and hire me as your healthcare provider. I am not that here on the internet. So what I give you is informational purposes only, informational purposes only. It does not replace the sound advice of your primary care provider. This program is very powerful at lowering your blood sugar and blood pressures. And so you want to make sure you stay in close with your primary care provider, because it is your provider that knows you best. He knows what medications, or she knows what medications you're on. They know what your conditions are. So they will know if you need to lower your blood sugar medications or blood pressure medications, if you need to remove them or if you need to adjust them. They are the ones to do that. I am not there in your space to be able to do that. So please take that under advisement. This is educational purposes only as we continue with hidden figures. Hidden figures, y'all. We're still working on this topic called hidden figures, where we are looking at foods that actually damage your health. Because what do we believe? That food is medicine, right? And we are using food as our medicine. We are taking the advice of Hippocrates, and even Steve Jobs realized that even all the money that he had could not replace his health. So he says to start to eat your food. Let your food be your medicine. Otherwise, your medicine will become your food. So we have been talking about these things. We talked about pesticides and GMOs. We're now in the process of talking about hybrids. And we are entitling, this is our second part, to not your grandmother's wheat. And we're going to just apply that to the condition of diabetes. So what about this thing called diabetes? What about diabetes? So diabetes is, the definition of diabetes is a chronic metabolic disorder characterized by high blood sugars and insulin resistance. Now, you know, when my mother was diagnosed with diabetes, with type 2 diabetes, the doctor told her she had a little sugar. A little sugar is what I give my husband before I leave home each day. Diabetes is not a little sugar. As a matter of fact, it is a problem with pancreatic beta cells. And let's talk about what pancreatic beta cells are. And let's look at it microscopically. It's called each part, there these cells inside of the pancreas. And on the left, you'll see a picture that kind of looks, that is a picture of an island. And you look at the picture of the cartoon picture of the islet cell, and you can see that it kind of looks like an island. That's why it was named the islets of Langerhans. It's like islands of Langerhans, and Langerhans is the person that discovered it. Inside the beta cell, there are different types of cells. There are alpha cells that secrete something called glucagon, which when you don't have, if your blood sugar levels go too low, your alpha cells will kick in and release glucose so that your blood sugar stays normal. The beta cells have the opposite effect. The beta cells are what's going to bring your blood sugar down, to put it inside of the cells to make sure your blood sugar is stable. Those are two of the most important cells inside of there. There are other cells there as well, but we're going to focus on the beta cells today. And the reason that we're focusing on the beta cells is because you can see that there are alpha cells there. There are these exocrine pancreatic cells. We call them acinar cells. And I want you to just look at those alpha cells, the exocrine cells or the acinar cells, and the beta cells, because that's going to become important. So tuck that away, put that on your note sheet, and recall that alpha cells and acinar cells are things that we're going to talk about, and you'll see why they're important to the beta cells as we go on. Now, there are things that actually damage the beta cells, right? So we have some things that will damage the beta cells. And those things are like, if your blood sugar is high for a long period of time, it will damage your beta cells. Why? Because these beta cells are just overworking themselves. They're trying to get more insulin out. And what we're going to talk about is they're working harder to try to control those blood sugar levels. Too much fat in your diet, we call it lipotoxicity. Too much fat in your diet will also damage your beta cells, which is why you will often find people that eat lots of fatty foods becoming diabetic, because that fat damaged those beta cells. Reactive oxygen species, we talked about that when we talked about inflammation. So you've heard that term now 3 times as we've talked about reactive oxygen species. Those are the cells that actually go in and cause inflammation. The species that causes inflammation, and it leads to different diseases, these reactive oxygen species. They are like that girl at a party who's going around trying to take everybody's boyfriend. That's what reactive oxygen species do. They try to take electrons from other stable cells to stabilize itself, because it's lonely and it needs some help. But we want to keep them lonely, and we want to get them out of our body, because we don't want anybody taking our spouse, our husbands, our boyfriends, our girlfriends, whatever it is. We don't want anybody taking it. If you're a man, your wife, whatever, your girlfriend, we don't want to take them. So we want the reactive oxygen species out. Antimicrobial medications. These are medications that kill bacteria or viruses or anything else. They can also damage the beta cells, as well as SSRI antidepressants. These are the ones that you will find, we call them selective serotonin inhibitors. We look at those types of medications that that are used for depression, and they kind of help with anxiety as well. We call those SSRIs. Hypoxia, or like low oxygen states. If you are somewhere and you're suffocating, there's not enough oxygen in the air, then your beta cells get damaged from that. There are drugs that we use to lower cholesterol. They will also damage your beta cells. Having an infections, and obviously rat poison, so make sure you don't eat any of that. And then we call these PCBs and PCPs. These are things that you will find. These are toxins that are found on cookware and things of that nature. And so we are looking we know that these things are going to damage the beta cells. And obviously a tumor in your pancreas will definitely damage the beta cells. Now, gluten, where does gluten come into the picture? Gluten damages beta cells, and it damages beta cells in both type 1 and type 2, as well as gestational diabetes. And we also know that people who have gestational diabetes, that means that you're diabetic when you're pregnant. 50% of those people will go on to have full-blown type 2 diabetes. And so we're going to look a little closer at this gluten that we talked about yesterday. We know so much about gluten yesterday. If you didn't learn about gluten yesterday, then go back and take a look at it so that you can make sure you're up to speed. And just so you know, we re-recorded that section yesterday where we were talking about gluten. So you can go and check it out. It's been changed, so there are no audio deficits on there now. So you can go and check out what that gluten actually is and what it does. So I hope you are able to take a look at that. Now, gluten damages beta cells in type 1, type 2, and gestational diabetes. But let's look at what the beta cells do. So beta cells actually secrete insulin. Right? Those cells on the left are the beta cells, and you'll see that bottle is actually insulin. We usually get insulin from like a porcine, or like a pig. We use like a pig to use their insulin. And so that's kind of what you're injecting if you're on insulin, right? But this is something that your body is made to do it. In the pancreatic cells called beta cells, they are made to make insulin on its own. So we are trying to figure out ways to stop the damage to the beta cells so that you can have your own insulin and you won't have to rely on a product to do what your body is naturally meant to do. All right, so let's go with it. This is what I work with type 2 diabetics all of the time. Type 2 diabetics have type 1 diabetes. Just so you know the difference, type 1 diabetes means that my beta cells are just, they're dead, they're damaged, they're dead. And type 2 means my beta cells are working, they're overworking, and they're still working, but they're working so hard that it's kicking out insulin that doesn't really work the way it needs to. So I have become resistant to the insulin. So that is something. And I did a presentation on this in California in September of last year, where I presented this information to people and to other doctors. And this is research that needs to be done, but I believe, and we'll talk about that on tomorrow. I'll leave that for tomorrow. But let's talk about gluten for now. No, this was a study that was done in 2019, and it was featured in an article in a diabetic journal. And I thought that this was interesting. So here's where it's highlighted. Gluten intake is inversely associated with type 2 diabetes risk among largely healthy US men and women. Limiting gluten in the diet is associated with lower intake of cereal fiber and possibly other beneficial nutrients that contribute to good health. So the title of this said, no gluten was associated with increased risk of type 2 diabetes, and 12 grams per day was the daily intake. When I first saw that article, I was like, wow, so gluten doesn't damage beta cells, because I was convinced that it damaged beta cells. I was convinced. And I found this article and it was like, no, it's like, I don't understand it. So I was like 12 grams. So what exactly is 12 grams of gluten a day? Well, let's look at it. A slice of bread is 5 grams of gluten. That's one slice of bread. A half of a cup, a cup of uncooked pasta is 6.4 grams of gluten. So when you cook it, right, we're talking about one serving. This is one serving of pasta, which is 1 cup of cooked pasta. One serving is 6.4 grams of gluten. Okay, so that's what that looks like. But when you go to a restaurant, this is what you get. You get about 3 cups of pasta on your plate, which is about 18 grams of gluten. That's a typical restaurant plate. But that's not all we get, because you can't forget the garlic bread, right? You got to have pasta and garlic bread together. So that meal is about 23 to 28 grams of gluten. And what did we say in that article? That it is 12 grams, said nothing would happen to your beta cells, are perfectly fine at 12 grams of gluten a day. And how much did we just say you had on a plate of pasta and bread? About 28 grams. So we are way over the amount that is actually said to be safe to eat for gluten. The average gluten containing diet, this is according to celiac.com. That's the website for people with celiac disease. It says the average gluten containing diet, it contains about 10 to 40 grams of gluten per day. 10 to 40 grams of gluten per day. I just did one meal and we did 28 grams. And I know that I have certainly been guilty, because I'll go to that restaurant where, man, I would get like a pasta, and because I was vegetarian, I was like, this is good stuff for me. But I was realizing that I was eating, because I would eat pretty much that whole plate of pasta. And I was eating about 28 grams, because they bring in that brown bread and then they bring in that sourdough bread. So of course I had to eat the bread before, and I dip it in the oil and eat the bread and eat the pasta. I'm vegetarian. I'm still doing good, but I was chug-a-lugging down some good, delicious, and it's good, totally tasty. But I didn't realize what I was doing. Now, this figure is based on the amount of gluten for the average slice of whole wheat bread. I didn't mention that this is whole wheat bread and not white bread, which is worse. And it contains that 4.8 grams, almost 5 grams. That's 10% of gluten by weight. 10% of the bread is gluten. And the amount of gluten that's served in a pasta is about 11% gluten by weight. Isn't that quite interesting? And they said 12 grams cause no damage. All right, and I'm getting 40. Here we go. So in type 2 diabetes, the symptoms may be mild. And the interesting thing is that it really takes a lot of time before these symptoms develop. It takes years. Like you don't know, the beta cells aren't killed immediately. It takes time for them to be killed, because they have something that gives them some resiliency. So it doesn't happen automatically. And it does take time, but it does happen. And so what's very interesting about that is that if you say we're diagnosed with celiac disease, you would immediately go on a gluten-free diet. If you're diagnosed with celiac disease, we know that we're going to stop you from having gluten, because we saw yesterday what it does to a person's stomach. Now today we're learning what it does to the pancreatic beta cells. So most people with celiac disease, we put them on a gluten-free diet. But here's the interesting thing. They never develop diabetes. They never develop type 1 diabetes. They very, very, very rarely, 10% may develop it. 10%. But here's the opposite. If you have type 1 diabetes, we don't limit your gluten. And those people will go on to develop celiac disease. Isn't that interesting? So we kind of, I know this time goes so fast. It goes so fast about what the food is doing. It goes too fast. So we're going to have to split this up and talk about some more of it tomorrow. So we have talked today about this gluten and its damage cell. We talked about the hybrid, right? The what has happened to the hybrid of the gluten. We're going to continue talking about that some more tomorrow when we take a closer look at why the gluten damages these beta cells. We're going to look at why it does that. So tune in tomorrow because I got more info coming. Right now, I want to answer your questions. If you have questions about what we talked about so far, then put a Q colon in the chat. That way we'll know it's a question. So here we go. Billy says, I went grocery shopping yesterday. My bill was a good bit higher. Is the benefit really worth the money, especially if you have financial challenges? I did. Oh, thank you so much, Billy. I did share your link with everyone. Well, you know what, Billy? I said in probably the first or second day that it is very true that you will spend more money, but you will spend it one way or the other. You'll spend it on the healthy side or you'll spend it on the sick side. And you got to choose which side you want to spend it on. Is it worth it? It absolutely is worth it. And that's why we started talking about growing your own food. It will significantly lower your grocery bill. But our industry, our we live in a capitalist society, so that we know that when food is healthier for you, you will spend more money. It should give you a clue that you can go and get a burger, fries, and a soda for, on a dollar menu. I mean, if it's $1, then that kind of says how much your health is worth. It's about $1. So yes, it is absolutely worth it. I've been doing it for years, and you are absolutely correct. I spend more money on my food than I do on pretty much anything else. We would spend money for my family on food, and it was worth it. And we were able to maintain our health. We didn't have diabetes. We didn't have high blood pressure. My children very, very rarely got an infection. It was so rare, in fact, that we never, I didn't have to give them antibiotics. It was very interesting. So there is something about the building of your immunity. There's something about keeping your blood supply smooth and allowing your blood cells to be enough to carry the oxygen that it needs to maintain the cellular health of your body. If your cells are healthy, then you are healthy. And so I spend the money. Pay to eat healthy or pay for the hospital bills. There you go. It depends on where you want to spend your money. Eating for your health is best. You got it. You got it. That is exactly right. That is exactly right. So I don't see any other questions. That must mean it is crystal clear, and I'm always happy about that. It is crystal clear. So I'm glad that you're able to see that. And you're right, it is easy to do when you afford it, but you know what I did, because initially it was difficult for me as a single person when I first started changing my diet and eating more healthfully. I was a single person. I was in medical school. I didn't have a lot of money. And so what I did was I found the things. I started using those produce guides to see which ones I needed to buy organically and which ones were okay to buy conventionally. That was one way I saved money. Another way that I saved money is I went to discount stores to get it. I also used farmers markets, because I found that their prices were a lot cheaper than going to some grocery stores. And then I realized which grocery stores were more expensive and which ones weren't. As a matter of fact, when we first moved here, I was going between Target, Walmart, and Kroger at the time. That was maybe 15 or so years ago, because we didn't have the stores that we had now. We didn't have the healthy grocery stores that we have now. We had one called the health food store that I would also go to and get things from, but I found that they were more expensive. So there were only certain things that I purchased from that. And yes, it was a lot of work, but I prioritized the health of me, and I prioritized the health of my family, and I made it work. And so you really do have to make some decisions as to where you want to spend your money. And I decided to spend it on our health. Yes. And ready to trade? Yes, absolutely. We're ready to trade. So, yeah, guys, this is almost day 20. Time really does fly. I don't see any more questions. Time does fly. We're going to continue smoothies for sleep. Make sure you're drinking your water in between, because you can certainly forget to drink your water. I know we have. I know we have. Interval 3 is coming with some more interesting foods that continue the detoxification process, but tantalize your palates. So you're going to continue to enjoy these amazing meals that are coming up in interval 3. Very excited about it. Now, we talked about the videos that we were doing. We're doing a series of course videos. I want to give you, excuse me, I want to give you an example of an of course video that our producer Amanda did for your purview. And she is doing really well on these. I just wanted you guys to see what it looks like. Take it away, Amanda. Now you can put a face with a name. Amanda is our producer. Amanda, you ready to get it up there? There we
Of
go.
course I'm detoxing. Of course I'm hungry. I'm detoxing. Of course I clean my juicer 3 times a day. I'm detoxing. Of course my headaches are gone. I'm detoxing. Of course I'm hungry. I'm detoxing. Of course I'm hungry. Wait, did I already say that? Of course I'm hungry. I'm detoxing. Of course I've lost weight. I'm detoxing. Of course I weigh myself every day. I'm detoxing. Of course I notice all the food ads on TV. I'm detoxing. Of course I'm not doing it alone.
Isn't that great? Isn't that great? So we're going to use your videos in that format so that we can do some, of course, videos, and we're going to put it across social media. So all of you who submitted videos, thank you. If you want to submit a video, we're still working on it. You can still do that. Just let us know that you will be doing that, and you can send it to media@p2whealth.com. That's media at p2whealth.com. We are looking for people to do it for the faith. We actually have quite a few for the accelerated healing. We're looking for faith as well. So you can do one, both, or neither. That's up to you too. But this is day 19, Faith Building Bootcamp. We're coming to the end. This is day 19, y'all. Day 19. We meet every morning at 6 a.m. and we build faith one day at a time on our Faith Building Bootcamp, 6 a.m. Central Time. And we meet every day at 8 a.m. for our Accelerated Healing Detox Bootcamp, where we build health one day at a time, 8 a.m. Central Time. Our books, Reverse It, as well as the Reverse It Success Journal. So we have the Reverse It book, the Reverse It Success Journal, and we have the Power Pack, all available here at p2whealth.com, www.p2whealth.com. Please make sure to go back and take notes. Make sure if you had made any mistakes, you were writing too quickly, you need to correct some notes, go back and take a look at the video and make sure you're taking your notes. While you're there, remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and please share it with your friends so that as many people that need this information, which I believe is pretty much everybody, as we go through this time, we need to know what we're eating and how it affects our health. So as many as possible, share it with your friends and share it every day. And just like, hey, did you check out today's video? Share it. Did you check out yesterday's video? Let me show you that one. Oh yeah, they talked about that on this day, and share that one. You never know how it will benefit somebody's health, and just you sharing that one thing with them could be life-changing. It could be a pivotal moment in the health of people you care about and love deeply. So I remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Thank you guys for being here. I am Dr. Helen, your host. I am here helping to build health one day at a time with our Accelerated Healing Detox Bootcamp, because we believe, you and I believe the same. We are on the same page that health is the new currency, and we are spending ours wisely. Thank you so much for joining, and I will see you tomorrow. Take care.